Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another 10-minute training. I'm Dr. Rob Vanbergen, and today we're going to be covering kind of an interesting topic that comes up a lot. I know our treatment coordinator's got a lot of questions about this, which is kind of how to do self-treatment. A lot of our protocol videos and a lot of the original protocols were designed for a practitioner to do on you. And while we've adapted a lot of these along the way, there's some self-treatment tips that kind of really make a lot of this make sense. So if you've ever read Current Medicine or you've even just looked at any of our videos, you might be wondering, how am I supposed to do these on myself? What if my pain is on my back, etc., things like that. That's what this video aims to answer today. So let me share my screen really quickly here. All right, you should be able to see that there. I know slides are always helpful for people to be able to kind of get that info. Okay, first and foremost, number one, self-treatment can be done with any device. You don't need the Evolution or the Genesis or the Pinnacle to be able to do self-treatment. Most of the time, what we're talking about when we talk about self-treatment is that you can take any core treatment that is done on the back of the body, such as the neck and the shoulder and the 3 pathways protocols, which are some of the more common ones. People are like, hold on a second here, how am I supposed to do this on myself? And you can do these on the front of the body as well. Now, we do prefer the back, but we have to remember that everything is connected front to back. So when you're doing 3 pathways, you're kind of working on the center of your chest as your spine, and the sides as your paraspinal points. You use, where we avoid the C7 on the back, we avoid the thyroid area on the front, and we take readings above and below it so as to not cause any issues there. Now, neck and shoulders, or collar zones, as it's his other name, this is pretty much the same thing, right? It's like a smaller focus 3 pathways on your neck and your shoulders. And so really doing this self-treatment is the same. So whenever you're looking at a protocol and you're thinking, how am I supposed to do this on myself? It requires gridding out this large space. Well, there's your answer. Essentially, you just flip it and do it on the front of your body, and it's totally effective. Is it more effective to go directly to the source? Absolutely. But we kind of go with what we've got. Okay, so the second tip, and one of the biggest ones for a lot of people, is that certain attachments make treatment easier to perform. Now, we're not just talking the obvious ones here, like if you've got sore hands, the gloves are going to make a lot of sense to treat your hands. If you've got if you've got feet issues, the socks can work really well there as well. Even the ankle wraps and things like that, because then you don't have to be bending over to treat them. But as far as the actual tools that we recommend go, there are a lot of different options as to what we can achieve. And one of the most common ones comes in all of the kits, and this is the Y electrode. One of the things to note, right, with your device is that on the back of the device, you have this built-in electrode. Now, you can do almost any treatment with this, but it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's a bit more work on your hand, and of course, it's harder to reach. Now, when you have your Y electrode, and I'll show this here in a second, I'll stop sharing my screen so you can see it. But when you have your Y electrode plugged in, stop sharing right now. So when you have your Y electrode plugged in, the current, instead of coming out of the back of the electrode here, the back of the device, it comes out of the Y electrode. Now, this suddenly means that instead of trying to treat like this, I can now treat over a broader reach, right? I have an 8-inch or 6-inch extension, which can allow me to treat these different areas and at least get some level of painting in. When it comes to treating down your legs as well, this means that you don't have to punch forward, so it doesn't throw your back out to be able to do that self-treatment as well. You can reach down to your ankles, your knees, and even lower with the Y probe. Other attachments that can make things easier would be for closer to the body, something like the massager electrode here. So this is probably one of the top most popular attachments that people buy, because once you've used it, you kind of get this like pretty incredible control. So you can hold this kind of however you want. I prefer to hold it like this, and then I can put pressure into the body, and it's very smooth and it moves along. It allows you to do self-treatment of many things. One such protocol is Pirogov's ring. Now, Pirogov's ring involves treating the back of the neck to the front and around to actually clear the tonsils and the lymph nodes and the glands, and to help with immune support when you are sick or concerned about getting sick. So being able to use this instead of the Y probe has a lot of advantages. So you'd set it to the back of your neck, just as an example. You increase the power to a comfortable level, and you can feel that. And then with the massager, you're just sweeping along. You can see how fast this is. Now, the bells work for this as well, but you need to use 2 bells. So just for comparison's sake, the Y probe in this case can often be a little bit more cumbersome when you're self-treating. When you're treating a person, it's really good, but you've got to go around here, and you have to, when you get to the neck, you have to swing it up so that you go above the thyroid, because you don't have that same level of control, and then you have to ride it there. So it's a slower process. So again, different tools have different solutions to ease treatment, essentially. Okay, all right. The next one would be conductive pads. I'm not the biggest fan of conductive pads, but you'll know we've got them in all shapes and sizes here, right? We have our standard square pads, we've got rectangular pads, we've got large lower back pads, we've got the vagus nerve pads. All of these are designed to make treatment a little bit easier on you, the user. So there's lots of different tools you can use in that way. And although conductive pads are not my favorite tool at all, they do allow us to self-treat with microcurrent far more effectively when the area is hard to reach. Now, why don't I like them? You don't get the painting by moving the electrode, so you're not breaking up active zones in the same way. However, adding some microcurrent in, whether it is through conductive pads or through a probe, this is going to be the #1 thing. If you're avoiding doing that and you're just kind of treating the area itself, then you're not really setting yourself up for success. So what you want to make sure you're doing is you want to make sure that you're getting some microcurrent one way or the other, whether that is through conductive pads, whether that is through some electrodes, because any is going to be better than none. Now, if given the option, I'll almost always do active treatment with a probe versus passive treatment with pads. But of course, for reaching your mid-back or your upper back, it might be easier to be able to stretch and get a pad stuck on there, and that's it, versus trying to keep working back there with the probe. Okay, and the last self-treatment tip is to understand that microcurrent is not the only delivery system we have here. Now, the Chi Wave and the PEMF devices like the Via Chi unit and the Via Chi mode in the Sana-Chi, these all allow us to use the microcurrent frequencies and convert them to a pulsed electromagnetic field frequency. This means that the frequencies, instead of going into the skin and you feel them electrically, they pass through your body, penetrating through it. And so this can really help with self-treatment issues. So here's the Chi Wave pad. This is the 12x18. They're gray now, they're not blue. So if you're wondering why mine's blue, it's just because it's an older pad. But essentially you plug this into your device, and then if you're holding it on the front of your body, it's going to penetrate through upwards of 12 inches. So it should go through your body, out the back, and hit everything along the way. So for self-treatment, it can be effective that way, but also it's a passive treatment, and you can just tuck it behind your back in these hard to reach places. You can sit on it, you can put your feet on it, and you can run the treatment for an extended period of time. This is not as effective as microcurrent because it's not as snap in its, what do I mean by that? So with microcurrent, you put the signal into the body and immediately like snaps to your nervous system that there's something going on. With PEMF, you're sending all these radio signals into the body and saying, hey, we want you to do this, and we're hoping they start to pick up on those signals. So PEMF takes a longer time to actually affect the body than standard treatments normally do with microcurrent. But again, for self-treatment, it's pretty hard to beat being able to just put a pillow behind your back and read a book, right? And get your medical treatment done. Okay, so though not all of the self-treatment tips in the world here, this is a fairly good start to what you can use and how you can understand how to manipulate the protocols, manipulate the device to be able to actually do the work you want it to do. Okay, so hopefully you found this very useful. So thank you everyone for joining me for our 10-minute training today. Hopefully I will see you in the next one next week, same time, same place. Thanks everyone. Take care.